Hello everyone, hope you are good and be happy always. Once again, welcome to Shachi's Academy, and now we will discuss part 2 of chapter 8, that is our environment and sustainable development, that is for class 12 CBSE NCERT. So let's start with the topic at the earliest. Principal concerns of environmental degradation in India. What are the principal concerns or the worries that are associated with environmental degradation in India? Number one is degradation of land. Our land is getting degraded day by day, and it's a principal concern in India. Second is air pollution. Even air is getting degraded day by day, particularly in the form of vehicular pollution in urban areas. Then comes your water pollution and management of fresh water, loss of biodiversity, and then solid waste management. These are the principal issues that are attached or associated, connected to your degradation, that is environmental degradation in India. Degradation of land. Let's discuss them one by one. Number one is land degradation. What is that? Degradation of land means loss of fertility or loss of productivity of land, which occurs due to inappropriate or bad land use or land management practices. See, you might have seen in villages that how cultivation is being done. Cultivation is majorly done with the help of insecticides, pesticides and other modern techniques. But these modern techniques are taking all the soil cover from, all the mineral cover, all the fertility cover from these soils, and it is contaminating the land, plus it is contaminating water and the air which is surrounding it. India is the habitat of 18% of the world's population. So India is home to 1/5 of the world population. That means 1/5 of the population of whole world, residents of the world reside in India. 20% of the world's livestock, just like buffalo, cow, cattle, etc., live in India. 20%. That means again 1/5 of the world livestock resides in India, but covers only 2.5% of land, world's geographical area. So here we have livestock, that is 20%, and nearly 20% of human population that resides in India. But we have very less very less length of geographical extent of geographical cover or geographical land in India. That is only 2.5%. That means in comparison to the people and animals we have in India, we have very less land in our nation, in our share. This leads to an intensively competitive use of land for the purpose of forestry, agriculture, human settlements and industries. See, where we have less land, there is competition for the use of land. That means people who want to set up industries on land, they will compete. People who want to do agriculture, they will compete for land. Some people want to build cities and townships or buildings on them for residential purposes, they will also compete. So here in India, competition of land is very fierce and people normally compete for land. Why? Because land is very less in comparison to the needs that Indians have pertaining to their different needs and lifestyle requirements. So here what is happening? Due to competitive use of land, due to over farming, due to deforestation, due to large number of people and animals living in India, land of India is getting degraded, and these are the principal causes. Okay, then causes of environmental degradation. Number one is excessive grazing leading to loss of vegetation. When we have large number of animals in India, they will graze somewhere, they will have to feed themselves or not. When they graze on open lands, on highlands, on grazing lands, they eat away all the vegetation. So overgrazing of land leads to loss of vegetation in India. Then erosion of soil caused by tree felling. People normally recklessly fell trees in your villages, in rural areas and in your hilly regions. So what is happening? Large number of trees are felled every day, and due to that it causes soil erosion. Why? Your trees have the capacity to bind land with their roots. The roots of tree bind the land and the soil. When you fell the tree, when you cut a tree, you have to remove all the roots, etc., and then soil becomes loose. And when soil gets loosened up, when rain falls on that loosened land, it gets flowed away. It gets away with the rainwater, flowed away with the water. So what happens during floods, during rains, this land is removed, this soil cover is removed from land. Then shifting cultivation leading to deforestation. What is shifting cultivation? When a plot of land loses its fertility, it is abandoned. People leave that land and loses its fertility. It is abandoned and cultivation is shifted to the other plot of land. When people cultivate some land, after some time land loses its fertility, and when it loses its fertility, people leave that land and move in search of another land. When they go to new forest, they will clear that forest. They will fell trees again, they will cut the trees of that hilly area or that land, and then they will start cultivation over that. Then again, when that soil also gets less fertile, or it's no longer appropriate for cultivation, they will leave that land also, again move to another land. So in that manner, they keep on moving, keep on cultivating newer lands and keep on cutting trees. So this shifting cultivation is the major cause of deforestation and land degradation. Then encroachment of forest lands or illegal ownership and exploitation of land leading to deforestation. So this illegal control of land or ownership of land is also responsible for deforestation. That is your forest fires leading to loss of vegetation. Many times there happens to be a fire in forest areas, and this fire, when it starts in forest areas, it's all the trees are affected and the animal life too gets burnt, and this leads to loss of vegetation and flora and fauna in that area. Then inadequate soil conservation measures leading to loss of soil fertility. Inadequate soil conservation measures means we don't plant trees, we even cut trees, we lead to deforestation, and this why our soil cover gets removed during your rainy season, and this leads to loss of soil fertility. Then improper crop rotation, impairing or reducing soil health. Crop rotation is the method in which you grow different crops in different seasons. But if you keep on growing only one crop, what will happen? Soil will get less fertile, or it will lose its fertility, and it will lead to degradation of your land. Then indiscriminate use of agrochemicals. These chemical fertilizers are also contaminating and degrading your land. Then improper planning and management of irrigation systems. We do not have proper irrigation systems in India. We do not have proper river irrigation system or land water irrigation system, etc. in India, and that is due to that our agriculture is gamble of monsoons, and due to that land is getting degraded. Then excessive extraction of groundwater, lowering water table and challenging the productivity of land. So what is happening? We are extracting lot of water from underground water tables. That is also leading to land degradation. Then alarming consequences of land degradation. What are the results? What are the consequences that we are bearing and will have to bear borne by our future generations due to this land degradation? Number one, extremely low availability of forest cover per person. Nearly 0.06 hectares contrasting with 0.47 hectares. So what is the requirement of forest cover? That is, requirement is 0.47 hectares of land per person. But what we are getting right now, we have only a forest cover per person of 0.06 hectares. That means there is a gap of nearly 0.41 hectares of land per person. That is a drastic gap. That's a huge gap. Okay, so we are having very less forest cover per person in India, and that's why our quality of life is getting affected. It will further get affected for our future generations. Then soil erosion is occurring at an alarming rate of 5.3 billion tons a year. So what is the rate of soil erosion? That is 5.3 billion tons of billion tons of land or soil is eroded every year, because of which India is losing 0.8 million tons of nitrogen every year, 1.8 million tons of phosphorus and 26.3 million tons of potassium every year is lost by our soil in India. Then according to the estimates of Government of India, each year the country loses nutrients ranging from 5.8 million tons to 8.4 million tons in India. So we are losing our soil cover due to erosion. And what is the rate? We are losing 5.3 billion tons of soil every year in India. And what is the mineral loss? 0.8 billion tons of nitrogen, 1.8 billion tons of phosphorus and 26.3 million tons of potassium. So these are the digits. If you can mark them up, that's very cool. Otherwise, you can just write this sentence, alarming rate of soil erosion. Then according to the estimates of Government of India, what is that nutrients loss? That is 5.8 billion tons. So you have to mark them up. That's why I have repeated them for you people. Air pollution. Air pollution occurs in the form of poisonous gases, carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. They too are very poisonous gases. They are lethal for your health and they are contaminating your air. The air owing to the activities of production and consumption. When you produce in factories, in industries, large number of smoke is emitted, large amount of, you can say, smoke is emitted from the large chimneys of these factories and firms, and due to that our air gets contaminated and gets polluted. Okay, and we are consuming, we are indulged in overconsumption of commodities. When we burn gas, when we burn different types of waste material also, that too creates a lot of pollution in air. Our production and consumption activities are leading to lot of air pollution in India. What are causes of pollution of air? Number one, vehicular emissions. Motor vehicles in India have increased many fold since independence. When we got independence, we have very less number of vehicles in India. That means cars, scooters, bikes in India. But now we have many fold. Since independence, we have millions and billions of these vehicles, and these vehicles are emitting polluted gases, poisonous gases, and contaminating the air of India. Then industrialization. Smoke emitted from coal industries and poisonous gases emitted from leather and plastic industries. So what are the three main industries which are causing air pollution? That is your coal industry, then your leather industry, and plastic industries lead to heavy pollution of air. Whatever production is being done in these industries leads to contaminants emission in your air and leads to degradation or pollution of your air in India. So these are the major culprits in India. Then Central Pollution Control Board, CPCB, looks after the issues of pollution in India. So this is the apex authority to look after the pollution issues in India. And if you want, you can consult this organization if you are concerned with pollution of India. If you have that authority and if you have that will. Then water pollution and management of fresh water. Water pollution is also occurring at alarming rate in India, and why it is happening? So what is water pollution over here? We will discuss. Water pollution occurs due to contamination of water bodies like lakes, ponds, rivers, streams and oceans due to addition of waste in them. When we produce different types of commodities in our industries and factories, that waste is discharged through different channels into our rivers and streams, and this leads to contamination or addition of waste material into our water of rivers, and this leads to pollution of our water. That industrial waste, particularly of those using chemicals as inputs, dumped into rivers. Some factories or some industries basically use or primarily use chemicals for their production, just like fertilizer industry. It uses chemical inputs, so the waste of it will also contain large number of contaminants of chemicals. So they are being added to your water streams or rivers, and they cause heavy pollution to water. Then domestic sewerage that flow into streams and rivers. All our sewage tanks and domestic sewerage and wastage and solid waste, many times the liquid waste also flows into our rivers and streams, and that also leads to water pollution. Agricultural runoff mixed with pesticides and insecticide that runs into streams and rivers during rainy season. When rain happens or rain occurs during rainy season, the upper layer of soil from agricultural land which contains your pesticides and insecticides gets flowed away into your rivers, and that also causes your contamination of water. Then thermal power houses. discharging ash mixed with water. This also leads to just like production of electricity in your thermal power plants. What is a thermal power plant? That burns coal, and with that coal produces electricity. And due to that burning of coal, your ashes is the resultant of that, and that ash gets mixed with water and contaminates your water and air both. Then loss of biodiversity. What is that over here? Here we have already discussed in our first part also that India is a home to large number of livestock and large number of wildlife. But during past few decades, this deforestation is taking at an alarming rate, and other soil and land cover is getting degraded, and that is the reason that our plant life and our animal life are getting endangered. They are getting perished away from our earth, and especially in India, many species are getting endangered and they are vanishing. According to Wildlife Fund for Nature, WWF, many of the plant and animal species in India are endangered. You can write that. Solid waste management. What is solid waste? See, in your homes also, when you use computer, till it is usable, you use it. Otherwise, if it stops functioning, when it is no longer in use, you dump it in your dustbin, and that is taken away by your garbage collector. Okay, when the garbage is disposed of, it is carried to some landfill sites. That is solid waste. Okay, your computers, your all the garbage like your cardboards, hardboards, all the material like polythenes and all, that is your solid waste, and it gets dumped into dump yards or your landfill sites in your cities. You might have seen, if you travel in some city, you might have seen in outskirts that there are large number of areas where this waste is dumped, and they are known as dump yards or landfill sites. In those, your solid waste is dumped, and you might have seen birds and other scavengers hovering over them. So that is solid waste over there. And this problem is arising because this problem occurs due to unplanned development of towns and cities and over-generation of waste. So we are over-generating waste in our cities and towns, and we are filling our land with that waste. Some of this waste is treated in waste treatment plants to produce electricity, compost and biogas. However, some of this solid waste is now being treated by treatment plants, and we are producing electricity and biogas with that, but we are only using nearly 10% of that. Otherwise, rest of it, that means 90%, at least 90% of the waste is not treated. It is not treated in your any waste treatment plant, and it is just kept or just dumped into your dump yards or landfill sites. Then, CHIPCO and APICO movements. CHIPCO movement are drive to prevent deforestation. So someone has to stop deforestation or felling off, cutting of trees. So these two movements were the movements which were just started or initiated to stop cutting of trees or felling of trees in hilly regions. Number one is your CHIPCO movement in the Himalayas, and number two is APICO movement in Karnataka. The word CHIPCO and APICO means hugging. When you hug a tree, you save it. If I am hugging a tree, I'll stop others from cutting it. People can't cut because I have hugged it. So what happened? People hugged these trees and they tried to protect these trees from felling. This was a noble cause, and this led to stopping of your deforestation in these areas. CHIPCO movement was launched in Uttarakhand in 1973, and APICO movement was launched in Karnataka in 1983 and was inspired by the CHIPCO movement in Uttarakhand. So there was a difference of 10 years between these two movements, and these two movements were noble and really praiseworthy attempts of people of those areas to save trees from felling down. In September of 1983, the villages around the Salkani forest in Sirsi districts hugged the trees to save them from felling. So this is a note about your CHIPCO and APICO movement. You can write these notes in your exams also. Now, sustainable development, what is that? Sustained words means going on. Keep on going without any hindrance. So what is there? The concept means that our development should go on intact for our present generation, and it should be continued in the same manner with same type of facilities for the future generation also. That means development should happen, but it should not disturb the ecological balance. It should not lead to environmental degradation. It should maintain environmental balance or ecological balance. That is the essence of your sustainable development. It comes from word sustain. That means the development should go on with your ecological or environmental balance. So here we can discuss the concept of sustainable development was first emphasized by the United Nations Conference on Environment. Sustainable, that means to continued or supported for long period. It should be continued for long period of time. Sustainable development is the process of economic development and raising quality of life along with maintaining environmental balance. We should maintain our quality of life and we should help future generations to maintain their quality of life also. We should not disturb the whole earth. We should not eat away or destroy the whole forest cover, animal life, plant life. We should leave something for our future generations also. That is the essence of sustainable development. It aims at raising the quality of life of the present generation without disturbing the quality of life of future generation. That is very simple. Then here to understand, then Brundtland Commission in 1987 described sustainable development is your, that means the need of the present generation without impairing or reducing the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. So we should meet our own needs, but we should leave something for future generations so that they can also live life just like we are living at least. They should have everything. They should have trees, they should have fresh water, they should have fresh air to breathe. Everything they need to have should be intact for that. We should not disturb everything and take away any chance from our future generations. Disregard for few resources and environment of growth. So what is happening? Our degradation of land, water and air is happening because of disregard for our resources that we are having. Now here we can discuss, in the recent past the process of economic growth has accelerated in complete disregard to the resource endowment and environment. See, in our recent past or past few decades, what we have done? We have been indiscriminately developing. We have been establishing industries, we have been starting new factories, but we have never thought even once what will happen to our earth, what will be the effect on our land, water or air. So this thoughtless growth is leading to degradation of land, water and air, and it is ultimately moving towards destruction of whole earth, towards the whole habitat of earth, environment of earth. So that is leading to your whole environmental degradation. We have never thought what resources we have and how we have to use. That is complete disregard to the type of resources we have on our earth. See here, diverse crops grown on land is the first reason have led to fall in soil fertility. So fertility of soil is decreasing, diminishing day by day. Why? Because we are growing n number of crops on them. Crops which even can't be grown on our soil, we are growing them by modern technology. So that is taking a toll on our fertility of soil. That is playing havoc for our environment of India and even for whole earth as well. Excessive mining of iron, coal, gold, silver and extraction of crude oil has led to depletion of their stock. So a stock of all these mineral resources, all these metals are diminishing. It is vanishing day by day. Why? Because we are over extracting them. We have become so greedy. We have become so greedy that we are extracting more and more from our earth. We are just making the earth hollow. We are not keeping anything. We are not leaving anything for our future generations. Then smoke and other injurious emissions from factories and vehicles have led to pollution of environment. So all the smoke, all the injurious emissions from factories are leading to contamination of environment and your air that you breathe. Then strategies for sustainable development, what are they? Still we have some time that we can follow some strategies, we can adopt some planned behavior for ourselves, for our development and keep our earth going on for our future generations also. We can give our future generations a good earth, a healthy earth, you can say, healthy environment and plant life and animal life to them also, so that they can also sustain a life, a quality life for themselves. So here number 1 is dependence on non-conventional sources of energy. So what are the conventional sources? Your firewood, or the wood that is taken from trees by felling them, or the coal that we burn to cook our food, or in industries to produce different types of goods and services, different types of goods or commodities. Okay, so here we can use LPG, liquid petroleum gas, or gobar gas, that is cow dung gas, or the electricity that is produced with the help of cow dung or buffalo dung or dung of other animals as well. In semi-urban areas and in rural areas. In villages, what happens? They collect cow dung or buffalo dung, they mix it with water, and through a biogas plant, they produce electricity and biogas. With that gas, you can make food, or you can produce electricity, and you can read, write, or do anything with that electricity source. Then CNG in urban areas can be a non-conventional source. Then wind power by installing windmills. This is compressed natural gas, CNG. Okay, then wind power in areas where wind is quite in abundance can be used for production of electricity. Then we have solar power through photovoltaic cells, PVC on our rooftops. You might have seen some rooftops of silicon panels that produce solar energy, and in many homes now they are getting them installed and producing electricity with the help of those photovoltaic cells. Then mini hydel plants in hilly areas. Mini hydel plants in hilly areas use water to produce electricity, and that electricity can be used for consumption purposes and for industrial purposes as well. Then we have traditional knowledge and practices in rural areas and in your urban areas can be used to move towards your non-conventional sources of energy. Then biocomposting, or producing vermicompost through your earthworms. See, you might have seen when you throw leaves, it gets decomposed and turns into some type of fertilizer or compost. Or after that, when you spread that compost or fertilizer on your in your pots, on any type of land, it will grow plants of better quality. That means your soil becomes fertile with that compost. So this technology or this method is being used for producing vermicompost. In your fields also, in your agricultural fields also, there are a lot of earthworms. These earthworms decompose the leaves and left over your plant stalks and all these things. So now we have completed our 8th chapter, part 1 and part 2. You can go through this chapter, and whatever problem you have during this chapter, you may discuss it in comments, or you can read the chapter once and you will just see that all the points have been covered. You can use them for your answers in exams and really score good marks with these notes as well. So thank you so much for subscribing this channel and watching these videos. Take care, God bless you, and be happy always. Thank you.